I went home and I told my mom, I said, "Ma, guess what? I saw this girl today."
She kicked you out?
Kicked me out once.
What'd you do?
But we went through a lot of challenges together.
What is the secret to a successful marriage?
When she was dying, and she winked at me. She was dying of cancer. I was holding her hand. We'd been married 50 years. So I had fallen madly in love with Dottie Capers. We were married 50 years. I still love her today. Never remarried. That's my son back there. But at any rate, I'm sorry.
When is the first time you went home to your mom, your brothers, and your sisters?
Oh, yeah, that was good. Came home from Lebanon. I was an NCO. I wanted to see my mom, but I wanted to see, my wife. Really wasn't my wife, my girlfriend. I had madly in love with Dottie Capers. Never loved a woman other than Dottie Capers. And we weren't married at that time, but I called on her, and it was a whirlwind type of thing. And this was 1958, December, so along there. We went into the Caribbean for a while. Had to do some work down there. We had some thugs and whatever, so we had to go do that. And then the Syrian thing popped up all in this area. I don't know if I got the timing right. It was a long time ago. But 59 come around, and my 3 years was up. I could either stay in the Marine Corps or I could get out now and go home. But going home wasn't much of an attraction now. I've been with some of the finest military guys in the world. I'd fought with them. I'd shed blood with them. I want to stay with them. But I saw Dottie, and I decided to stay with the Marine Corps. I re-enlisted.
How did you meet Dottie?
She was my high school sweetheart.
You met her in high school?
I met her in high school. First time I saw her, I was in love. She was walking by. I was with a group of other guys, and I saw she had on a yellow dress. And I looked at her, I couldn't believe it. I went home and I told my mom, I said, "Ma, guess what? I saw this girl today." And she said, "Sit down, son, we'll talk. But I loved her so much. And every chance I got to see her, in the halls of the school there was a Carver High School. And I'd try to find a way to sneak around to see her. And sometimes in the hallway, I had the nerve to stop her. And I talked to her and fell in love. And when I held her hand, when she was dying, and she winked at me. She was dying of cancer. I was holding her hand. We'd been married 50 years. But that was her. Strong woman, military wives, back during that time, they got it done because we were gone a lot. I did 14 years overseas. I fought 2 wars, include the thing in the Middle East.
When did you guys get married?
June of 1959.
So
I re-enlisted, and they paid me a lot of money. Wasn't much. In today's, we look at it and say that was no money at all. But that was great for me because I was a military guy. I didn't need a whole lot of money. At the time, though, when I joined, I was sending my parents monies. That's what we all did. We had allotments. And because I just appreciated what they'd done for me, coming from the South and all that. And they were not really educated folks. We were farmers, basically. But I did well, married Dottie. We went to California. I hooked up with First Force Recon Company.
Well, before we get to First Force Recon, you were married for 50 years.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, in your opinion, what is the secret to a successful marriage?
I will tell you, I loved Dottie Capison the first time I saw her. We went through hell. We raised a blind child. Our first child, Gary, was born blind and special needs. And good child. He played the flute, the melodica, the organ, piano, but he had other difficult things. And after we were married, then the military didn't have schooling for him, for my son. Wonderful child. I loved him so much. I was holding his hand when he closed his eyes. He died of appendicitis. It seemed like the next day my wife died of cancer. And the demons come home.
How do you stay happily married for 50 years? What's the secret?
I loved her so much. She kicked me out once.
She kicked you out?
Kicked me out once.
What'd you do? Did you deserve it?
Yeah, I went out with the guys and stayed overnight, and I didn't call her. And I came home. I used to wear cowboy hats. You know, back in the old, that was one of the things I wore for cowboy boots like I have on now, and I wore cowboy hats. So she took my cowboy hat and threw it out, then went over and stomped on it. So I knew that I was in trouble. But I loved her. She let me come back in. But she was such a sweetheart. I remember a snake bit her. She was out feeding the fish. We had a fish pond. She was out there feeding the fish with her hand. A snake come up and bit her on the hand. This takes away from what are you talking about there, though? I was telling you about that time when a snake bit her. And she didn't panic. She's scared of snakes. Bit her on the finger here. So she come in and said, "Sweetheart, I've been bit by a snake." I panicked. But I did the first aid. We had to get down to the emergency room. So we went there, but the snake was not poisonous. And one of my troops who lived next door, he wouldn't kill the snake and brought it down to the hospital. And they looked at it. It was not poisonous. But just the whole idea of her demeanor at that time, you know, I think I've been struck close by snakes. Never got hit by a poisonous snake, but I've been around, you know, pythons and all this other stuff in Southeast Asia. But I'm just saying about Dottie, she is so brave, got her taken care of. But we went through a lot of challenges together. I got sent overseas for 15 months as a Marine Pathfinder back in the old days. And I had to send her home, put her on a train and send her back to Baltimore with my child. And I was gone for that period of time.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.